Hey, I'm Olivia,
And hey, I'm Dad.
and you're listening to Soarin' Around WDW. Hey everyone, I just wanted to hop on here before the episode starts and answer a listener question that came in through Instagram from Maggie this past week. And this question was, what are some tips and tricks for bringing a baby under one to the parks? So we obviously have a good deal of experience with this. Eileen's first trip, she was a little bit older. She was supposed to be about 18 months, but then COVID happened. So she ended up being just under two at 23 months almost. She was like 22 months and change. Blake's first trip, she was only 10 weeks old, which some of y'all might be like, you're crazy, girl. Why did you do that? Germs and the world and whatever. But I was under a very different mindset of with Eiley. I had super bad postpartum depression and anxiety. We barely got to leave the house once COVID hit, and it was super isolating. And so I decided with Blake, we were just going to go for it and do what we wanted to do within reason, obviously making sure that we kept her as safe as we could. But it's not the same as like a 2 or 3 year old who's touching everything, licking their hands, putting their shoes in their mouth, all the disgusting things that toddlers do sometimes. So the baby stage actually was super fun for us, especially the kind of baby that Blake was. She went again at 10 weeks old, and then a couple of times before her first birthday. We've been very lucky to get to go many times with our kids, and now she is almost 3. So, some tips and tricks. If you are pumping, get a hands-free pump if you can do so. They have inexpensive hands-free pumps, like the Genie is an inexpensive one. I had an Elvie that I loved, but it's a little more pricey. The Genie was more reasonable. I borrowed one from a friend when we went when Blake was 10 months old because our Elvie actually was having some issues. It was still under warranty. They were sending me a new one, but it wasn't going to come before the actual time came for the park. So then we went ahead and borrowed the Genie from my friend, and it worked super well. It's hands free, but still had tubing. But I was able to slip into a corner or, in a line for a ride, find a little corner and just slip them in, pump, take them out, and use a Ceres chiller, which I also highly recommend to keep the breast milk cold, and then we could, reheat and things as needed throughout the night. As she was only bottle fed, she would not breastfeed. That's a whole other story. But yeah, that is something that I highly recommend. If you can, get a hands-free pump if you are pumping. If you're breastfeeding and your baby breastfeeds, great. If you're formula feeding, great. But if you're pumping, it can get a little bit complicated. Another tip that I have is to go at their pace. They are not going to be able to do it all. You are not going to be able to do it all. And that's okay. And that is something that is very hard for me to remember sometimes. We are go, go, go family. We are rope drop to fireworks. Oftentimes we are stroller napping, skipping nap, things like that to just soak in all of the magic. And luckily our kids love it. They thrive on going to the parks. They have the best time. And so we've been very, very lucky with kids who adapt well. But if they need a break, that's okay. If you need to get out of the stimulating environment into a quiet area like a corner of a quick service restaurant or a quieter attraction, another great thing to utilize are the baby care centers. Check the app and it will show you the location in all 4 parks. They all offer nursing stations, changing stations, feeding areas, and sell some baby products like diapers, wipes, medicine, etc. Anything you might have forgotten or have run out of unexpectedly. They do have rocking chairs in the feeding areas, access to outlets if you need to plug in a pump or charge your phone. And if you have more children, Big Brother or Big Sister can hang out in there too. They have a little TV with movies or shows constantly rotating, similar to like at the Pop Century when you first check in. They have that little space that they're currently renovating with a TV in the area. They also have water filter stations for people who are formula feeding and you need filtered water. They have sinks and bottle warmers and microwaves. So if you need to wash pump parts or if you need to use a bottle warmer or use the microwave, that is all in there as well. So just something to consider if you need them. We actually never ended up taking advantage of these because we just made it work the way that we had everything when Blake was really little. But it is a really nice perk, and I've known others who have utilized them. So definitely use them if your baby needs a little bit of a break or you just need some destimulation time with your toddler or baby. bring an extra set of hands if you can, but if not, you will still have a great time. You don't have to have an extra person there to have an amazing time if it's just mom, dad, and baby, or mom, dad, and kids without grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncles, cousins, all those things. But we've been lucky enough that our family lives in Florida, and so oftentimes we have family come with us, but not always. And at Disneyland, it was just the four of us. So it's something that if you can have, great. If not, that's okay. And if you don't have someone extra and you guys want to ride the bigger rides that obviously baby can't go on, utilize rider swap. That is a great way to get in line, and then one person waits, the other person swaps and gets to go through the fast pass line. You do both have to go to the start of the line. Cast member will scan either your ticket or your magic band, and then that way when that person's done, the other person can get through the fast pass line and the opposite person can stay with the baby. It's a really great resource. We use this a ton at Disneyland because Blake is not tall enough for most things with a height requirement yet. So anything we wanted to go on with Eiley or on our own, we use Rider Swap, and it's a great free resource. You do not have to pay for Lightning Lane Multipass to use this. Again, the first person does either have to wait in line or use the Lightning Lane, but then the second person can go in the Lightning Lane line free of charge, kind of just skip ahead so that you don't have to wait as long twice. And this is something that also I feel like I need to mention is a great resource for when you have multiple kids. You can take one of the kids back through with you. So like for us as a family of four, Blake wasn't tall enough to go, so I would stay with Blake. Maddie and Eiley would go first. Then when we would swap, Eiley could go with me again if she wanted to, which was really nice. You don't have to ride alone if you have multiple kids. Sometimes they'll let you get away with bringing more than one kid back through. It kind of depends on the cast member, but that is a great resource, and that's how Eiley got to ride Big Thunder Mountain 6 times while we were at Disneyland in one day, which is awesome. Another tip that I have is to pack all of these snacks that your baby loves. Disney allows you to bring in outside food, so bring whatever your heart desires for baby to munch on. Puffs, teeth and crackers, wherever they're at in their stages, baby food. You can bring a cold bag with fruits or purees, kind of depending how close they are to that 1-year-old range and how much they're eating. But you can bring in outside food. I think a lot of people, their first or second time, don't know that. A lot of vets probably do know that, but just an option. You don't know if they're going to eat what's in the park. There's not a ton of like baby snacks and food available for purchase, even at the baby care centers. So just something to consider. And also my last tip is to capture the magic and get those cute, fun photos, but also really try to enjoy the moments without constantly having your phone out. The first time that we took Blake was for Halloween. We went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and we have a few pictures from that night of her, but I remember looking the next day and I'm like, oh my gosh, we really did not take that many pictures. We did when we were, meeting the characters, and like we did a couple behind the castle in Fantasyland when we first got there. She was dressed as Binks, and the 3 older girls were dressed as the witches from Hocus Pocus, the Sanderson sisters. And it was adorable, and we had the best night, but I barely have any pictures from that night. And then even the next year, when Blake was a little over 1 at the same Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, we did not take a lot of pictures or videos. And I mean, there are a few that we have, but as content creators, I think a lot of us, a lot of times, are constantly on our phone, taking photos, taking videos. But it's really important to try to get some off phone time, to not constantly be taking pictures or videos if you can, just because it really does allow you to soak in that magic, and it really is so magical. So just a little tip, do get your pictures. Obviously you want to be able to remember it. My kids love looking back at pictures and videos, but don't take a picture of every single thing or every single ride or video of every single thing. Try to be there and present with your kids as much as you can. So those are my top tips for taking a baby under 1. I probably could do a whole episode on this, or taking kids at different ages. If you have any specific questions, please DM us, send us an email at soarinaroundwdwpod@gmail.com, or look for the question box that I'm going to try to put up more regularly, and we will answer your questions on the podcast. But thanks so much again to Maggie for reaching out to us. I hope that you guys have a magical first trip with your son before he turns 1. I think it will be an awesome time, and I hope that you guys enjoy this week's episode. Happy Wednesday, flight crew. We are back this week to discuss something that is a little bit of a hot topic. It is Walt Disney World's best pre-shows, and we are going to talk about the before the ride portion of the attraction experience. And this is something that a few weeks ago you heard us talk about our queue review, where we went through and named our top and bottom queues in every Walt Disney World park. Today we are going to get into the pre-shows in each park and talk about our least favorites and the ones we think are the best of the best. There are so many pre-shows that we love, but also quite a few that are a bit cringy and out of date. We are going to rate these pre-shows out of 5 using the criteria of storytelling. So, does it set you up for the attraction or help give you an idea of what the attraction's plot will be? Pacing or timing, does it feel too long or too short? Immersion, does it make you ready to be in the world of this attraction? Nostalgia, does it bring back great memories? And entertainment value, does it make you laugh, cry, feel suspense, etc.? So let's get right into it. So starting off in the same order that we did for queue review as far as parks, let's begin with Animal Kingdom. So this park only has 2 attractions with true pre-shows, and one is Flight of Passage, the other is Dinosaur. Both of these shows feature somewhat recognizable celebrities. Flight of Passage features Dr. Stevens, who is played by actor David Danipur, who has appeared briefly in shows like The Good Place and The Dropout. This pre-show is basically where you are a new recruit visiting Pandora as part of an ecological partnership between humans and the Pandoran Conservation Initiative, or the PCI. The goal is to link you with an avatar so you can experience the Navi rite of passage, riding a banshee or ikran, and form a connection with the natural world. The cringy part of this pre-show is where Dr. Steven says, and fly. And that's like something people quote all the time, like at the end of the pre-show. But Dad, you've not been on this attraction. Did you watch this pre-show on YouTube?
I did. And this is the only attraction, I believe, out of all the attractions we're going to talk about tonight that I have not seen in person. And I'll be real honest, it's real hard to separate the queue from the pre-show and the attraction in your mind. You just want to think about just where that pre-show is and kind of look around the room and kind of understand what they're trying to do just in that pre-show. So just full disclosure for me, I had to really think about it. Probably harder than most people do. So,
Yeah, it is hard to kind of distinguish what is what, and we'll get into even in some attractions, it's hard to kind of think about that a little bit. But storytelling, I would give for this attraction a 4 out of 5. It has a decent story to kind of tell you why you're there, puts you into the Avatar feeling of the land and, the purpose of the attraction. The pacing and timing, to me, it's a little long, and I think it has to be the way it is because that's when they move you to the next room and that's how long the attraction is. So I get the purpose, but it does feel a little bit long. So I'm going to give that like a 2 out of 5. The immersion, I would say a 4 out of 5 because it is pretty immersive. They're scanning you. They've got you pulled up on the screen as what's your little, avatar banshee partnership would be. Nostalgia for me, I'm going to say 0 out of 5. I have no tie to Avatar. It's not my thing. It's a cool attraction, but not nostalgic necessarily. And entertainment value, I'll give a 3 out of 5. It's a little cheesy, a little long. So overall, I'm going to say a 3 out of 5 for this queue. So moving over to Dinosaur, this is a classic attraction that features Dr. Seeker, played by Wallace Langham, who is most notably known for playing David Hodges on CSI Crime Scene Investigation. And you are visiting the Dino Institute, a scientific facility that has made time travel possible. The original goal is a peaceful tour to the late Cretaceous period. However, Dr. Grant Seeker has other plans. He wants to send you back just moments before the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs to secretly retrieve an iguanodon that he's been tracking. We also had to include this attraction. It will soon be gone. It's closing on February 2nd, 2026. So we don't plan to be there again before the closing, unfortunately. But Dad, what would you give the ranking for this attraction?
I gave the storytelling a 4. The timing, I gave that a 3. I thought it was fine. The immersion, I gave it a 3. Nostalgia, gave it a 1 because I don't know what unless you're really into dinosaurs when you were a kid or something.
Yeah.
My sister truly loved dinosaurs when she was really young, so she'd probably give that a five. But sure, I like dinosaurs and all that as a kid, but there's no nostalgia factor. And entertainment value, I gave it a three. And what I did with my scores, just so you know, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, I added my scores up to give it kind of a total score.
Oh, yeah,
Like
that's a good idea.
I had a 4.3313 for a 14, but to put it in your perspective, I give it a three. So
Okay. We can add. We'll add it up. We'll do that. That'll be good, like a little different. Okay, yeah. For this attraction, I would say storytelling a four, timing similar a three, immersion maybe a three-ish. For me, this is definitely a nostalgic attraction. It's not necessarily dinosaurs, but like the memories of going on this as a kid. So I said three for this. And entertainment value, I'd say three as well. So that would be, oh my goodness, now I'm gonna have to do math. 12, 16. So over in Epcot, we have a few attractions with pre-shows. So they are Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, Soarin', and Mission Space, with all very star-studded casts. So Guardians of the Galaxy features a few celebrities, even if you don't count the amazing cast of the actual movie, who are part of the pre-show as well. Nova Prime is played by the Glenn Close, best known for movies like Fatal Attraction, 101 Dalmatians live action, and Dangerous Liaisons, as well as the Centurion Tal Merrick is played by the hilarious Terry Crews from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, as well as movies like White Chicks and a personal favorite of my family's Blended. You're visiting the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion, where the Xandarians from Guardians of the Galaxy are sharing their culture and advanced technology with the Earth. The idea is to create an intergalactic understanding and peace between the Earth and Xandar. As part of the presentation, they invite you to witness a demonstration of the Cosmic Generator, a powerful piece of technology that can instantly create jump points across space. But just as the demonstration begins, the villain, Isan the Celestial, appears, steals the cosmic generator, and threatens the Earth. The Nova Corps calls in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're evacuated onto a Star Jumper ship to follow the Guardians through space and help stop Isan. Cue the ride launch. So that's kind of the pre-show for this attraction. This is one that you've done just once, Dad. Is that right?
just once with Maddie. Maddie and I went on it.
Yeah. Yep. And I've done this a couple of times. So how would you rank this attraction pre-show?
I gave the storytelling telling a five. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy series.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, the music's all from my generation, which is pretty fun. So I gave that a five. I thought it was well done. Timing, I gave it a three. That's pretty universal, almost for all mine. The immersion, a four. Nostalgia, I had to give it a one because I guess if this was a big movie when I was a kid or something, there'd be some nostalgia factor. There really wasn't any nostalgia for me, but I thought the entertainment value of the pre-show was a four. So I gave that a 17 total.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, I would say storytelling also similarly, I'd give it a five. Pacing, timing, there's two parts of this pre-show, so that helps break it up a little bit. You start in the one room, you move to the next room, but it is a little bit long, so I gave it a two. And then the immersion, I would say four. Makes you kind of feel like you're getting into the ship and moving along and things like that. Similarly, I gave nostalgia a one because I just don't, no real nostalgia to this movie or this franchise. And entertainment value, I said a four. It's pretty entertaining. It's funny. Terry Crews, he's funny in it. So overall, I gave it a 16. So pretty similar score there. So the next attraction in Epcot is Soarin', obviously our namesake ride. And Soarin' has your chief flight attendant played by Patrick Warburton, best known for The Family Guy and The Emperor's New Groove, among many other things. You are a newly recruited flight crew about to board Soarin' Flight 5505, a simulated hang glider experience that will take you on a journey above some of the world's most iconic natural and man-made wonders. Your chief flight attendant welcomes you aboard with humorous but sincere safety briefing going over how to store your belongings, buckle up, and prepare for flight. So this is a cute little pre-show. I think it was kind of funny what they did with Patrick Warburton, but how would you rank this pre-show, Dad?
All right, this will be a hot take.
Uh-oh.
I I rated the storytelling a one,
Okay.
the pacing, timing a two, the immersion a one, the nostalgia a one, and entertainment value a one.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Okay, so you're not
six, a
into the
total of
Soarin.
six.
So the Soarin
I love
pre-show is
Soren.
long.
I love Soren all day long. One of my favorites. But the pre-show and the queue, you can have it. I think there could have been more done there, but it's cute. He does a great job. It's funny. As the guy from Seinfeld. Was it? No, it's not the guy from Seinfeld, is it? No. He looks like the guy from Seinfeld. Takes the mouse ears off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Points that out. He's not the guy from Seinfeld. He looks like him. But anyway, yeah, it does absolutely nothing for me. If I had to rate that, it's probably one of my lowest pre-shows in the whole Disney World.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I mean, it is like it's definitely cheesy and it's getting to the point where it's like a little bit cringy. If people haven't been there a lot, they're kind of like, what in the world is going on? But yeah, I would give the storytelling, I mean, it's not really telling you a story very much. So I said two. The pacing, timing, I said three because it's fine, kind of right down the middle. Immersion, I also said two. Nostalgia, I said four. I think just because, like, listening to it, I could almost quote it word for word, just thinking about that, little video beforehand. Entertainment, I said three. So overall, I gave it a 14. So I definitely scored it a little bit higher, but yeah, it's funny. And we were actually talking about this, Maddie and I. So we're doing these nostalgic night series where we're watching movies. Have you ever
Yeah,
seen The Emperor's New Groove?
I did once a long time ago. I can't really tell you the whole plot of the story. It was a long time ago.
Okay, that's what Maddie was like. That'd be a good one for your dad to watch for the podcast. But if you've seen it, we'll have to skip. But he's like the voice in that movie, and so it's funny whenever I like close my eyes and listen to the Soren cue like or pre-show. It's like I automatically think of Emperor's New Groove because we're not super big Family Guy people, so I don't really think about him for that. So
Sure.
Mission Space. So this attraction now stars Gina Torres from Firefly and Westworld, but used to star Gary Sinise. Remind me how to say his name.
Denise.
Denise, okay, who's from Apollo 13, Forrest Gump, and CSI New York. The premise is you're about to embark on a high intensity space training simulation at the International Space Training Center, or ISTC. Depending on your selected mission, you're either the orange mission, which goes on a simulated flight to Mars, or a green mission orbiting Earth on a smoother, less intense mission. You are assigned to a four-person crew, with each guest having a specific role: commander, pilot, navigator, or engineer. You're briefed on your duties and responsibilities by your capsule commander, who explains the mission's details and safety instructions. So I know it's been a long time since you've been on this one, Dad, because it's not one of our favorite attractions, but how would you rate this?
Well, to be brutally honest, yeah, it's been a long time. I'm thinking probably it's probably been 20 years, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
probably.
I'm thinking right about that. People are probably like, "What?" But I remember remember the ride when you almost get sick on the ride and you never get sick on rides. You remember it. But
Yeah.
the pre-show, I had to go back and look at it. Full disclosure, look at it on YouTube. We saw it, but I don't remember it from 20 years ago. And I saw that. I thought it was pretty good. I really like Gary Sinise, fabulous person, fabulous actor. So anyway, that being said, I did storytelling. I said a three. The pacing timing I thought was fine, was a three. The immersion was a four. I thought the whole setup and everything around that area was very well done. Um, and so let's see, entertainment, nostalgia. I put nostalgia one because there's just no nostalgia. There really just no nostalgia there, other than thinking I'm going to hurl, right?
Yeah.
And entertainment value, I put it as a three, so I give it a 14.
Okay, you were more generous than I was. This is one of my, this is the attraction that all the time I'm like, I wish it would just go. The concept was cool. It's out of date. I don't know, not my favorite, but I gave the storytelling a three because it does, give you a little bit of background story. Pacing and timing, I said a two. Feels a little bit long for what the attraction is. Immersion, I did say a three because I do feel like it does pretty good making you feel like you're in a space, in the training center, the space training center. Nostalgia, I also said one because I have no nostalgia except, like you said, wanting to throw up from this ride. And entertainment value, I said a three. So I gave it a 12 overall.
Okay.
So not bad. So Hollywood Studios does have a large number of attraction with pre-shows, or at least the most, the biggest number of pre-shows out of all four parks. But first up is Tower of Terror, my absolute favorite attraction, starring Rod Serling, kind of. They used pieces of his voice and another actor, Mark Silverman, to help with some of the voiceover since Rod Serling had passed away before this attraction opened. If you haven't yet, go listen to our Parks of the Present Hollywood Studios episodes where we get into this a lot and kind of how they used other people had auditioned for his voice and his wife actually helped pick the person. But obviously, Rod Serling is best known for the Twilight Zone show. Guests enter the Hollywood Tower Hotel's eerie library and watch a vintage style black and white Twilight Zone episode titled The Twilight Zone Terror at 5:15. The episode explains the mysterious elevator accident that caused guests to vanish during a lightning storm. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. Dun dun dun. I can probably quote that whole thing by, memory here. So how would you
Me
rate this
too.
one?
Well, it's definitely, I know it's your top attraction, probably in all of Walt Disney World, you said, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hands down. I remember taking you, I think I was the first person to take you on that, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
were about like six or
I
something.
think I was six, which it's so funny. I remember being scared, just like Splash Mountain, but then wanting to do it again. And it blows my mind that Eiley was four when she went for the
Wow.
first time. She was
Wow.
almost five, and she still goes on it again. I thought we scared her, but no. Anyway, so yeah, how would you rate this attraction?
Okay, again, I really love this attraction, much like yourself. So I gotta put that to the back of my mind, though. That's what makes it hard. It's like, oh, I want to give it a high rating because the attraction's so great, but you got to look at the pre-show.
Yeah.
I grew up with the whole Rod Serling Twilight Zone thing, definitely dating myself, but I love the show. I'll say for storytelling, five, pacing, timing, five, immersion, five, nostalgia, I gotta go five. And
Yeah.
entertainment value, I slipped it down a notch to a four, so I gave it a 24.
Okay, see, I went fives across the board. I was
I
like,
figured you
this
would.
is my favorite.
I figured you would.
I love it. And I love
Sure.
Guardians too. But this one, I mean, the nostalgia is huge. I mean, I absolutely love this ride, just walking into that area.
Yes.
Love waiting
Yes.
for, the queue. When I do Lightning Lane and I kind of breeze right through it, I like not having to wait, but I miss getting to look around at the actual attraction in the queue. But the pre-show to me is great. I think it gets you right there and ready for what you're about to experience. It is a bummer that the pre-show ends and you go into another section of like boring line a little bit, but I do think it sets you up really well for the attraction. So I gave it a 25. Perfect score for my favorite attraction. I had to.
No surprise. No
Yeah.
surprise.
So Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, this is the next attraction, and this is where guests watch a new Mickey Mouse cartoon short called Perfect Picnic. The story is about Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Pluto preparing for a picnic. Goofy's train suddenly crashes through the cartoon screen, pulling guests into the animated world. The song will be stuck in your head forever once you leave the attraction. Obviously, it stars Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, and Goofy. So you've been on this just once, Dad, or have you been on it more than once?
Went on it just once when we returned back to Hollywood Studios a couple of years ago, right after the holidays in January with Michaela and Morgan, my granddaughter and her best buddy. And that's when we dragged them around the park and went to all these lands that we just never got a chance to go to before that. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm like you. I'm upset because they took the other ride out that we love so much.
Yeah.
But they did a good job with it. So storytelling, I thought was a three, pacing three, immersion. I gave the immersion a three. I don't want to get my head starts wanting to go into the ride, but the pre-show a three. Nostalgia, I gave it a five because I'm Mickey Mouse. I kind of grew up with Mickey Mouse, right? I mean, a lot of us
Yeah.
did. And entertainment value of the pre-show, I gave it a three, so a total of 17.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. I gave it for the storytelling. I gave it a 2 because I don't really like it kind of ties into the ride, but like I mean, I don't know. Some of this attraction feels a little like all over the place to me, so it's hard to follow a little bit sometimes. And even
Mhm.
Eiley was kind of like, "What's happening? What are we doing? Where are we going?" Like it's a little bit confusing. So I gave it a 2. Pacing and timing, I gave a 2. Immersion, I said a 4. But yeah, now hearing yours, I'm like, well, maybe it should be a little bit lower than that. Nostalgia, I gave a 2 just because, yes, Mickey Mouse is definitely like childhood remembrance, but this particular version of the cartoon, I'm kind of like about. And then entertainment value, I said a 3, mostly because that song does get stuck in your head forever and people sing it all the time. So I gave it a 13. Is part of my score maybe a little swayed by the fact that I'm really, still upset about Great Movie Ride being gone? Maybe, but it's our show, so we can score it how we want to. Rise of the Resistance. This is an attraction that we talked a little bit about in the queue episode, where it's hard to know where the queue starts, where the pre-show starts, where the actual attraction starts, and that's what makes it such a good attraction. But the pre-show really is about Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe Dameron, John Boyega, who plays Finn, and Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren. These are the celebrities from the films that reprise their roles in the actual attraction. Guests are recruited by the Resistance and briefed on their mission by Rey and BB-8. After briefing, guests board a transport ship, which is then captured by the First Order. The story transitions you into a multi-stage attraction that obviously involves the breakout from the Star Destroyer. So it's, again, very hard to kind of tell what's the pre-show, but I kind of counted it from where you go from the one room into the ship a little bit. And I know again you've only been on this one time, so how would you rate this and kind of where did you picture the actual pre-show starting and ending?
I call it pre-show as soon as they get into the first bay, and then they pull you out of that bay. You're outside for just a few seconds, and you're back into the
Yeah.
next bay, and it's like a double pre-show to me. Uh,
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. Because it's not a queue, it's not the show. It's they're talking about what's going on in both. So, um, yeah, so that's the way I saw it. And my rating, five, 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 25. There's no question to me that it's just over the top. It's over the top, just like the ride's over the top. It's just so well done. And I'm not even a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan. And it came out when I was in high school. Okay, dating myself. It was a big hit, back in '77, I think. There was Rocky at '76, Rocky Balboa, of course, and Star Wars and Saturday Night Fever. Those are the three big smashes when I was in high school. So it was huge, but I never was a really big, I'm not a real big sci-fi fan, but I give it fives across the board because it's just so well done.
Yeah, it is really well done. I gave it 5s except for nostalgia just because I'm also not a huge Star Wars person. I love this attraction. So I gave that a 3. So I gave it a total of 23 out of 25. So
Okay.
still very high. I
Yeah.
really enjoy this attraction. And then Smuggler's Run, this is one that I've actually never seen the pre-show because I've only ever ridden this during a ride challenge. And because I've stated as so many other episodes, it makes me super sick and we do single rider, so we pass by all the pre-show stuff. So this pre-show is really where guests are hired by the smuggler Hondo Onaka, the pilot of the Millennium Falcon, on a mission to steal coaxium. And Hondo explains the mission in his pirate-like charming style. Jim Cummings provides the voice of Hondo Onaka, also from Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and Rebels animated series. And yeah, so it was kind of hard for me. I had to go on YouTube and watch this because, like I said, I've never seen it in person. I've been on this ride twice, but both times were in the challenge where we skipped right past it. So how would you rank this one, Dad? Because you've done this one once as well, right?
Yes, I didn't. I went and saw the pre-show and just did it the old-fashioned way, and it wasn't very well attended. I was surprised. I think everybody runs to Rise of the Resistance, and this one's kind of and they put a lot of effort into it. I mean, it's the theming
Yeah.
and everything is fantastic, as the whole land is. But We just kind of walked right on. I'm like, what? I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Um, I give it a 4 for storytelling because it's quite a story. Pacing, timing, 3. I thought it was good. Immersion was a 5. Like the whole land is just a big 5 to me. Nostalgia, I made it a 3. Entertainment value, a 4, so I gave it a 19.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I was pretty similar. I gave the storytelling 5 because I feel like it's very fits with what you're doing. Pacing and timing of the actual pre-show, I gave a 3 just on average. Immersion, I said 5. Like you said, the whole land is very immersive. Nostalgia, I went back to a 2. And then entertainment value for the pre-show, I said 3. So I gave it 18. So yeah, it's a like you said, an attraction that I feel like people don't appreciate as much as Rise of the Resistance. And it's very similar to me to Star Tours in a way, like the
Mhm.
simulator. There's a little
Right.
more involvement where you have to actually control the ship, and it's pretty cool. Like if I was into Star Wars, I feel like I would be super into it, but unfortunately it also just makes me sick, so I can't enjoy it that much. Moving on to another ride that makes me sick is Star Tours. So this ride is where guests enter a starport terminal where security droids scan for rebel spies, and C-3PO accidentally pilots the shuttle, triggering a chaotic space adventure. Anthony Daniels voices C-3PO, who's the original actor from the Star Wars films. So we talked a lot about this queue in our queue episode and how immersive the whole queue leading into the ride is. But what do you think about this pre-show as far as rating it, Dad?
Well, I give the storytelling because it's all a cool story. I got to give him that. I gave it a 5. Pacing, timing, a 3. Immersion, I gave a 3. And nostalgia, a 3. And entertainment value, a 3. So I gave it a 17.
Okay. Yeah, we're pretty similar there as well. I feel like for storytelling, I gave it a 4. For the pacing timing, I gave it a 3. For immersion, I gave it a 4. For nostalgia, I gave it a 3. And then for entertainment value, I gave it a 3. So I was at 17. So yeah, overall, it's good. The pre-show itself is fine. Nothing super crazy to write home about, but not terrible. Then we get on to another ride that is going to be on the chopping block soon and will not be around much longer. We have Rock and Roller Coaster, or at least won't be around in the same capacity.
Right.
But in this attraction, for the pre-show, guests enter a recording studio at GeForce Records where Aerosmith is about to go on a high-speed tour. The band invites guests to hop in their super stretched limo to make it to the concert on time. Obviously, this attraction stars the band, so Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Brad Whitford, Tom Hamilton, and Joey Kramer. It also includes Elena Douglas as their manager, who's best known for a couple of movies like To Die For and Cape Fear. We also had to kind of include this based on a nostalgia piece. Like I said, obviously this won't be around very long, but what do you think about this actual pre-show for this attraction? I know the queue can be kind of long and boring and hot, but what do you think about the pre-show, Dad?
Well, the pre-show makes sense. It's the rock and roller coaster, featuring Aerosmith. Or so you got to have the Aerosmith in there. I'm glad they didn't try to do some sort of animatronics or something that just.
Oh yeah.
So what they did, I'm sure they paid those guys a lot of money to do that stupid little bit that they do. And Steven Tyler coming out, does say "Hey, do people" or whatever he says.
Yeah, yeah.
And just some of the stuff I remember. Even Ileana Douglas, I didn't know their manager's name, but she's like coming to you at the end. We better get a stretch. Make it a super stretch, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been in there. I haven't been seeing that pre-show in a long time. I still remember it. We went so many times on that ride. So I gave it a 4 for storytelling, 4 for pacing of time because it's kind of fun. First couple times you see it, it's kind of fun to watch the guy. Oh, it's Aerosmith. Of course, now they're 20 some years, 25 years older.
Yeah.
And so am I. So immersion 3, nostalgia it's 3. I like Aerosmith, but the coaster, we always enjoyed it. Entertainment value, and again at the talking about the pre-show, I gave it a 3, so I had a whopping 17 for that. I'm ready for. I'm really ready for it to go. As far as the Aerosmith, I guess they're bringing in the Muppets to do it. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really getting that too much. But anyway, yeah, I gave it a 17.
Yes, unfortunately, they are bringing the Muppets. And yeah, if they would have put a Steven Tyler animatronic, that's what nightmares are made of. That would have been
Yes.
maybe pretty
Yes.
creepy. But yeah, the Muppets are going in there, and the little concept art that they most recently showed as of recording this episode was really just like an overlay. Like it's going to be the same recording studio, but the Muppets instead of Aerosmith, and then the same ride, but with the Muppets. So I'm not that excited about that. We talked about that a little bit on here. It's just I like the Muppets. They're fine. I really liked Muppet Vision 3D, but I don't think they belong here. They could have done something way cooler with this attraction. So we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, for this pre-show with Aerosmith, I gave the storytelling a 4 because I mean it's getting you into G-Force Records, you're getting into the super stretch limo. Pacing and timing, I gave a 3. Immersion, I gave a 3. Nostalgia, I had to give a 4 because I could probably quote this whole pre-show as well when she says, in fact, make it a super stretch. I say that like all the time for no apparent reason. Like that's something that I think about a lot when I shouldn't, because it just isn't even relevant. And when Regan and I first started doing challenge runs and we were trying to come up with a name before we came up with Soarin around WDW, I sent him a list of different ideas, and one of the ideas as a joke was super stretch sibs. And Steph, his wife, was like, "What?" And I was like,
What?
"From Rock and Roller Coaster." And she was like, "No one's gonna know what that means except for you guys." So anyway, just yeah, I do love this attraction. And then entertainment value, I said a 3. So I gave it a 17 as well in the end. But yeah, it's definitely one that I recorded the last time we were there so I can, have a video pieces of it to look at, but I'm ready for it to change too. It's time to be something else. So the last park we're going to review is the Magic Kingdom. This park has the most attractions, but not very many with actual pre-shows. The only two that actually have what I would consider pre-shows include the Haunted Mansion and the Enchanted Tiki Room. Would you agree, Dad? Were there any other attractions that you thought I was missing with pre-shows from Magic Kingdom? I really racked my brain about this, and I'm like, I can't think of any other ones with a pre-show.
No, and I'm thinking of Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, but I don't think they have a pre-show in that, do they?
I should look that up while we're
They they
talking.
they they ask you to submit jokes, I think. But are you inside the theater at that time or you're outside? I thought you're out there in the queue and they're saying submit your joke and maybe we'll use it. Isn't that outside kind of like a pre-show? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah, that's right. No, you're right. You do submit your joke, and that's one I haven't been on in golly, for sure, 15 years. It's been a
Yeah.
long time. I guess that one does kind of have a pre-show, yeah, where they're saying, get your so we'll add that one to the end here. I'll pull that up while we're ranking. So, starting with Haunted Mansion, this is obviously your favorite attraction of all time. But the pre-show for this attraction is where guests enter the ominous gates of the Haunted Mansion, and once you go inside the doors, you find yourself in the stretching room, an elevator-like chamber that seemingly descends but really stretches vertically to reveal a series of elongated portraits. Each portrait tells a tale about a doomed character meeting an untimely and often humorous ending. As the room stretches, a mysterious and eerie voice known as the Ghost Host narrates these stories in a smooth, haunting tone. The portraits visually transform with clever effects, illustrating each grisly fate, like a former bride who was jilted, a greedy auctioneer who meets his demise, and others. The pre-show sets the spooky yet playful atmosphere for the attraction, and the narration hints that guests themselves are about to join the 999 happy haunts that inhabit the mansion. The room's ceiling appears to stretch infinitely, revealing a ghostly figure that beckons the guests onward. Then the walls disappear and you move forward to your doom buggies. Like we've talked about in previous episodes, the ghost host's voice was originally performed by Paul Frees, a legendary voice actor whose iconic delivery still influences the attraction's tone today. So, again, Dad, I know this is one of your favorites. So, how would you rank the actual pre show portion of this attraction?
Well, the way I look at the pre-show is when you go in the main doors, you stand and fire the fireplace first.
Yep.
And there's a figure or a portrait over the fireplace that slowly It's like the guy dies, he turns into a skeleton, right?
Yep.
Then you move into a lot of times people miss that because a lot of it is, they kind of shepherd you right into the stretch room. But if it's real busy, you'll get hung up right there and you kind of watch that, which I always thought was super cool. But okay, I could go on and on. The Disneyland version, as we know, is actually an elevator that goes down to a second floor. It
Yep.
goes under, so you can go under that train tracks to the back show building. This one doesn't, but they simulate it like you're going down, except the roof is going up versus the other one that goes down in Disneyland. So that's what's kind of cool. I just had to throw
Yeah.
that in there.
Yeah.
I gave it big surprise, not a hot take. Let's see here. Storytelling, 5. Pacing and timing, 5. Immersion, 5. Nostalgia, 5. Entertainment value, 5 for 25.
Yeah, yeah, I figured that was going to be a perfect score for you. This is one that I feel like people either love it because they're super into it, or it scares the tar out of the little children in the room, and your kids are scarred for life, and you never go back on this ride. But I've heard many a cry in this pre-show. So I would rank it overall storytelling 5. The timing, I said 4 because it is a little bit of a long, like you said, especially if you go to that first part first, then you're, but it is, I mean, there's a lot to look at in there. So that's interesting. The immersion, I would give a 5, nostalgia a 5, and entertainment value a 5. So I said 24 out of 25. But yeah, it's a great way to kind of get you into the attraction, into the mood for the attraction. So that would be pretty good. And then the Enchanted Tiki Room. This is a pre-show that I haven't seen in quite a while, actually. Guests enter a lush tropical garden-like waiting area filled with exotic plants, Polynesian decor, and ambient island music. As they await the main show, the pre-show features an enchanting audio animatronic introduction by Jose, the charming toucan who welcomes visitors to the Enchanted Tiki Room. The pre-show immerses guests in the story of a magical South Seas ritual where the island's tiki gods awaken to entertain the audience. The ritual sets the mood for the spectacular musical show that follows, where a chorus of tropical birds, flowers, and tikis come to life and chatter among humorous asides, preparing everyone for the joyous celebration of Polynesian culture and mythology. So again, this is one I have not done in a little while. I wanted to do it at Disneyland and it was under refurbishment while we were there, so that was kind of a bummer to not get to see the original. But how would you rank this pre-show part of the attraction?
Well, we know it's one of Walt was very involved in this. Some of the first animatronics, right, were the tiki birds,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. I've seen this. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but I do remember it. I think you're kind of standing almost outside during this pre-show, which is different in the tropical garden out there. I gave it a storytelling 2, pacing and timing 2, immersion a 3. I'd go nostalgia 5 because I saw it at Disneyland in 1970, which was pretty cool. And I knew Walt
Yeah.
was very involved with it, so that means a lot to me. Entertainment value, I gave it a 2, so a whopping 14 for that one.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I mean, that's what I feel like the pre-show itself is to me. I like the attraction actually, but the pre-show is not my favorite. So for the Tiki Room, I would rate the storytelling as a 2, the pacing timing as a 1, immersion as a 2, nostalgia I gave it a 4, and entertainment value I said 2, so I only gave it an 11. Sorry, Walt. Not my favorite pre-show. Okay, so going over to Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. So the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, so it looks like it does have a pre-show, like you said, and this is one I haven't been on in a long time. But the synopsis of the pre-show is basically before you enter the main theater, you have this pre-show where you walk into the Monsters Inc. facility and Roz introduces the concept where she's like, no nonsense. She explains the importance of laugh energy and welcomes the guests. She instructs guests on how to participate in the show, specifically how to text in jokes for potential use during the actual live performance. And then you're kind of encouraged to submit family-friendly jokes. After that, it kind of wraps up and the pre-show kind of just keeps saying that laughter fills the energy canisters, helping power Monstropolis. So then you move into the main theater after that. So it's not super long, but gives the opportunity for guests to be included potentially in the show. So how would you rank this one, Dad?
Two, two, immersion, one, nostalgia. I like Monsters Inc., so I'll give it a three. I remember going there with you guys when you were little. That's great stuff. I do enjoy it. Entertainment value, probably a two. Whatever that adds up to, it's not very high.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I said, storytelling, I'll give a two. Pacing, timing, I said a one. Immersion, two. Nostalgia, three. And entertainment, two. So I gave it a 10. So
Okay,
definitely
I'm right
not.
there with you.
Yeah. Some honorable mentions just to kind of talk about things that are no longer there. We don't have to rank, but kind of just to talk through some things that were favorites back in the day. So the original test track, backlot tours, and the Great Movie Ride. So we talked a lot about the Great Movie Ride on our Parks of the Past series, and this is one of my all-time favorite attractions that's now gone. The pre-show for this was initially just a 20-minute loop that kind of became this 45-minute documentary type experience in 2015. Singin' in the Rain was featured, Sound of Music, as well as many other movies. And even better was what I would call the post show, which was this absolutely amazing movie montage. If you never got to experience the attraction, do yourself a favor, go and find the ending montage that was on this attraction on YouTube and watch it. It was amazing. It gives me chills every time. And they updated it a few times throughout the years as well. So, Dad, anything to add here about the pre or post show for Great Movie Ride?
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think they made the loop longer because I remember standing there when it was so busy and you're kind of in this queue line that goes back and forth. It's a pre-show, but you're in this, queue line that's kind of gradually works your way down to the door to go through. And they changed it because you'd stand in there easily 20 minutes and see the loop go over and then maybe go over again.
Yeah.
We had it all memorized. And then they made this longer thing, maybe longer documentary thing, maybe for that reason, because it was kind of annoying after a while. It's like, okay, we've already seen this, one or two times again, over and over. I really love it. Of course, we both love the attraction a lot. Sorry that's gone, but yeah, I think the pre-show, the post-show was great. And the best thing about the post show, I gotta say it, they had the Three Stooges on there. Are you kidding
They
me? Does it get any
did.
better than that? And a lot of other movies, we all grew up with. I get it, but I saw the Stooges on there. I thought my dad would have loved that. Him and I grew up watching the Stooges a lot. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
great. It was a great pre-show and post-show.
Yeah, and I remember when we were kids and we had been going for a while, and then Pirates came out and they added Jack Sparrow in there. I like
Yeah,
vividly remember the change. So
yeah.
yeah, great pre and post show. And then Test Track, the OG version. Neither of us have been on the new version yet. The pre-show took place in a futuristic testing facility featuring interactive elements and video briefings where Cohn explained the various tests like handling climate control and durability that vehicles must pass before hitting the road. The tone was upbeat and fun, mixing humor with high-tech visuals to build anticipation for the ride, which simulated the final high-speed test of a GM vehicle. So I remember this pre-show and the little video that they had where you kind of stood in the room. What do you remember about this one, Dad? Anything in particular?
Not really. I think this had some like the crash dummies and stuff, right, or things like
Yeah.
that. They were showing different real GM testing, and you were going to be part of the real GM testing, and you're going to be in a car that's going to be tested, which is kind of cool. It's a great concept. I thought it was great. I've always enjoyed this ride. Never one of my favorites, but it was fun, really fun getting outside and going at what 62 or 63 miles an hour, whatever it was. But back to the pre-show. Yeah, we're not grading them, but I did enjoy it. Um, there's not much you can do with that other than what they did. I think I don't know what else you would do, right, for a pre-show for that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what it's like now if they have any kind of pre-show or if you just go through. I don't think they're doing the design a car anymore, so
ooh,
that'll be
no,
interesting. And then backlot tours. This is one of the most immersive pre-shows, and the belated backlot tours that is now gone was one that really made you feel like you were right in the movies, and sometimes you literally did get chosen to be right in the movie yourself. This pre-show featured selected guests to star in a scene from Pearl Harbor where they got absolutely drenched with water. This is unfortunately one that we never got to be a part of. You never were in this pre-show, right, Dad? Or were you?
No, I tried to get in it, but they
Okay.
never picked me. So I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know why, but I tried a number of times to get in it because I thought it'd be kind of fun to get totally soaked and be part of that. So, but
Yeah.
never happened.
Yeah, this was one that made the wait a little bit more entertaining. It was definitely something to watch for a little while and fun to, try to get picked for sure. But yeah, no longer around, obviously, the beloved backlot tour attraction. So overall, Dad, what would you say are your top three pre-shows?
Okay, I'm going to put them in order, so it's going to be a hot take. I'm going
Okay.
with Rise of the Resistance #1,
Oh, wow.
Haunted Mansion #2. Even though they have identical scores, I have to be brutally honest with myself. It's really very, very new technology versus very, very old technology. So it's really hard to pick. But if I have to pick what most people would probably pick, it would probably be Rise of the Resistance because it's really over the top. But I go Haunted Mansion #2, and then Tower of Terror at 22 points, #3. That's what I have.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, our top three are the same. I would say Tower of Terror as my number one, Rise of the Resistance number two, and Haunted Mansion number three. I just think they're pretty awesome. So
Yes.
we are going to quickly do a would you rather question from our listeners for the week. And we had some really great submissions from y'all from our giveaway, but this one was from a Instagram follower knows in a book. Her dad actually wrote in and asked a question and said, would you rather have to miss your favorite ride or your favorite treat on your next Disney trip? Which one would you rather have to skip? Dad, what would
Favorite
you say?
treat. Favorite treat.
Yeah. You can have a treat anywhere, even though there might not be the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the Mickey bar and I love the Dole Whip and all those, but yeah, I mean, missing one of the rides, like missing Haunted or Pirates or something, I'll miss the treat all day long.
I agree, even though I do think about some of those treats at Disney, like on the daily. And if I only had to miss one ride and I could still ride everything else, it's tempting to pick the
Right.
ride. But I would pick the treat, missing the treat as well, just because I don't want to miss Tower of Terror. That's my favorite for sure.
Sure.
Okay, well, we have had quite a few technical difficulties tonight, so hopefully this episode makes it through just fine. But thank you guys so much for listening. Please let us know in the comments what is your top pre-show. Is there one you love? Is there one you hate? What are your top three? Do you agree with our scores? Were we too harsh? Were we too generous? What do you guys think? Would love to know. Thank you guys so much for all of the great Would You Rather questions. If you want your account to be featured, please send them in. We still have about 10 to get through just from the submissions that we got from the giveaway, but would love to have some more on the back end, especially holiday specific ones as we're getting into Halloween time, Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's. So let us know what kind of questions y'all have to come up with, and we'd love to shout out your page. But that is it for this week, Dad, and we hope that y'all have a great week.
See you next week.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at SoarinAroundWDW Pod, where we share fun reels, throwback photos, and dive into our old versus new debates. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. And for our Spotify listeners, a follow and a 5-star review would mean the world. If you're listening on Apple, hit that 5-star button and leave us a written review as well. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time.